The news is filled with reports about violence, murder, sex, and drugs. But there are other stories left untold. They are about men and women who give their time, energy, dreams, and even their lives to make San Francisco a better place. They are everybody's angels.
Pretty good catch, huh? No, today's show is not about football, or golf, or tennis, or even baseball. It's about a segment of the population that is most enthralled with all this equipment, men. Welcome to Everybody's Angels. I'm Pari Livermore, and today we'll be interviewing people in San Francisco who are working with organizations that help men. But let's start with our celestial quiz. How tall is the average American man? Remember, this includes only those gentlemen over 21 who live in the United States. Is it A, 5'8"? Are they B, 5'9"? Or C, is the average man 5'10"? We'll get back to you with the answer later on in our show. Our first guest is a big man, at least in the eyes of his teammates. We would like to welcome one of Little League's top pitchers, 14-year-old Wyatt Lim Tepper, and Mr. Chuck Lantz, a Little League volunteer with a big voice and a big heart. Thanks for joining us today, gentlemen.
Thank you for asking us.
And now let's start with you, Wyatt. You're a great pitcher, I understand.
Yeah.
One of the best in the league.
Yeah.
What's your best pitch?
Probably my curveball.
Your curveball. Why is it so good?
Because it just pretty much gets everybody out all the time.
Gets everybody out, and how fast does it go?
It goes probably 55 miles per hour.
55 miles per hour. That's great. That's pretty fast. Now, what about, who's your favorite player?
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson. That's great. Well, now, one of the things that's interesting about you is you actually are an umpire, a player, a top player, and a coach.
Yeah.
A manager, I guess they call them, right? Yeah. Now, why did you decide to become a manager?
I wanted to see what it was like because I always thought that like it'd be pretty easy, and I want to see if it was really easy. And
Well, what do you tell? Give me an example of what you tell your players when you really want them to work for you.
I just tell them just try your hardest, and if you make a mistake, just don't worry about it, and just encourage them to do good.
That's great. And have you had a lot of success with your team?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, good for you. Now, I understand that sometimes you work between 15 and 20 hours some weeks during the year with the umpiring and the playing and the managing. Why is it that you do this, Wyatt?
Just because it's fun, and it's like I like doing it.
Well, good for you. We like to see young people out there volunteering. Now, let's get to you, Chuck. Tell me a little something about yourself. I understand you're an announcer. You announce the games?
Yes, Jesse Tepper, Wyatt's dad, asked me to start announcing over in Sausalito when we were tied in with Sausalito and the San Francisco leagues together. So.
And now it's just the San Francisco League.
Right. We just started this year. This is our first year as our independent league, and it's great. It's a lot of fun.
And now you've had some experience with announcing, sort of, don't you?
I had some radio experience years ago and some television experience.
And
so
you have a nice deep voice, so it's great.
That helps.
Yes. Now, one of our most special things that we wanted to talk about today is you believe that you need some new things in Little League, and we want to try and get the word out there. What do you think that Little League really needs to have the community supported a little more?
Well, if we can get the word out that there is a Little League in San Francisco, and not a whole lot of people know about it, we can get things like extra fields. We desperately need fields. We need volunteers. We need sponsors. Sponsorship is very inexpensive, about $1,000 a year.
So in other words, if there is someone out there who maybe has a company, for $1,000 they can have their name on the back of all those shirts.
Yeah, I believe so. And there are 1-, 2-, and 3-year sponsorships available, and it's really
$1,000 for 1 year.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Good. Well, that sounds wonderful. Now, I understand there are women playing, there are young girls playing.
Yeah, it's and they really don't. You can't differentiate when you see them out there with their caps on. They're equally as good or better in a lot of the leagues. Having a girl playing with the boys in Little League is no big deal anymore, and hasn't been for the last few years. Some of our best players are women.
Some of your best
young
players
women.
are young women. Now, how do you feel when you go up against a girl, Wyatt? How does that make you feel?
It's not as different, but it's like kind of concentrate more because you don't like want to hurt them or
you don't want to hurt them.
anything
But have you ever
special.
had any hit home runs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So lots of times you have to be careful of them then.
Yeah.
That's
Some
good.
of them
Well,
are really
I'm
good.
glad to see that women are taking part in Little League now.
Definitely.
And do you have a dream for Little League, Chuck?
Well, right now we have one official field on Treasure Island. We were lucky to get that, and I would like to see 4 or 5 fields in town. I'd like to see us get up to the point where we have 600 or 700 kids involved. We have 148 now in fall ball, our off-season ball,
Off-season ball.
and we have about 220 in our regular season, and that can grow. As the word gets out, as we get more volunteers, more sponsorship, it can only grow.
Well, speaking of growing, I think we should take this opportunity to answer our celestial quiz. And the answer is 5'9". Did you know that the average man over 21 in the United States is 5'9"? How tall are you?
I'm about 5'4".
5'4", but you're still growing.
Yeah.
Because you're only 14. And how tall are you, Chuck?
I'm 6'2", but he's going to pass me pretty soon.
He's going to pass you. Are you tall for your age, Wyatt?
No, I'm about average.
Okay. Well, I think it's really wonderful that you're giving young men like Wyatt the opportunity to even manage a team. Can you give me some information about, a lot of people talk about Little League parents, and are the parents really enthusiastic?
They are, and I'd heard all the stories, the negative stories about Little League parenting, and I haven't seen in 4 years, 3 years, I haven't seen any evidence of that at all. The parents really get into it. There's always a warning before the game begins that these are volunteers out there, they're kids, and everybody minds themselves very well. And getting into the game, I've seen a lot of professional ball, but I have honestly never seen better baseball than at the Little League level. And that's not only when my own son's playing, but the games I announce where I don't know one kid out in the field. And we mentioned before, I'd rather be at a Little League game on a weekend than anywhere else. I've canceled the rest of my life because it's so much fun and it's so exciting and it's pure baseball.
And you said you have a son who plays Little League. Is that why you're a volunteer?
That's how I started out. He came out of the San Francisco Youth Baseball League, and then he graduated up to Little League in Sausalito, San Francisco. And it is so professionally run by strict volunteers. And he loves it. He would rather do, he'll drop anything to play Little League baseball.
We hope we'll get a lot of volunteers for Little League. Now, Wyatt, how did your team do this year?
We did all right. Each year, like, our team improves. So
It gets
we get
better and better.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we want to thank you both for donating your time and also for doing the work you do for Little League and giving opportunities to so many wonderful young kids in the San Francisco Bay Area. And if this is the first year for the San Francisco Little League, we wish you a lot of success.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.